Welcome to Jay's Production, and today I'm going to share with you the answers of Science Paper 2, which is Chemistry, of 2017, and this paper was the GCE past paper. And specifically, I'm going to share with you question B1 from section B. So question B1 reads, a spirit of 15.5 tons of sulfuric acid results from an accident of a road tanker. Slight lime is used to neutralize the acid according to the equation below. So the reaction is sulfuric acid plus calcium hydroxide will produce calcium sulfate plus water. The first question reads, which is A, balance the equation above. So for me to balance up this equation, I'm going to write the number of elements from the reactant side and from the product side. So hydrogen from the reactant side, I can say I have 4 atoms of hydrogen. I have 2 here plus these 2, so I have 4. What about to the product side? To the product side, hydrogen, I only have 2. What about sulfur? Sulfur here, from the reactant side, I have 1. Then sulfur to the product side, I have 1. Then oxygen. Oxygen from the reactant side, I have 4 here. 4 plus 2, which is 6. So I have 6. Then to the product side, oxygen. Oxygen here I have 4 plus 1, which is 5. So for me to balance up this equation, I can add a 2 here. So if I add a 2 there, this means hydrogen from the reactant side I have 4, and hydrogen to the product side will be 4. Then what about oxygen? Oxygen here I have 4 plus this 2. Oxygen, I'm going to have 6. So this means I've balanced up this equation. So this is A. Then B. B reads, determine the relative formula mass of calcium hydroxide. So I'm supposed to determine the relative formula mass of calcium hydroxide. So the relative formula mass is represented by MR will be equal to, so I have calcium. The mass number of calcium, I know that it's 40, so I'll say 40 multiplied by, then looking at calcium, I only have 1 atom of calcium multiplied by 1, so 40 multiplied by 1, I have 40. Then oxygen, then I know that oxygen, the mass number of oxygen is 16 multiplied by the number of atoms of oxygen here is 2. So 16 multiplied by 2, that's 32. Then what about hydrogen? Then hydrogen, the mass number of hydrogen is 1 multiplied by the number of atoms here for hydrogen is 2. So this will be 2, and adding this will give me 74. So this is the relative formula mass of calcium hydroxide. Question C reads, use the balanced equation to determine the mass of calcium sulfate formed during the neutralization of the spilled acid. So I'm supposed to calculate the mass of calcium sulfate. So for me to calculate the mass of calcium sulfate, I know that in the question I've been given the mass of sulfuric acid. So I'm going to relate my calcium sulfate with sulfuric acid. And the equation that I'm going to use the balanced chemical equation. So I'll see here. And from the balanced chemical equation, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to write my mole ratios of calcium sulfate and sulfuric acid. So I have sulfuric acid and calcium sulfate. So from the equation, I know that 1 mole of sulfuric acid will produce 1 mole of calcium sulfate. So this is 1:1. After I've done that, I'm going to calculate the molar mass of sulfuric acid and calcium sulfate. So the molar mass of sulfuric acid, I will say, is equal to, here the mass number of hydrogen, I know that it's 1 multiplied by its mass, which is 2. This will give me 2. Then for sulfur, I know that the number of atoms for sulfur is the number of atoms is 1 multiplied by the mass number, which is 32. So this will give me 32. Then the mass number of oxygen, I know that the mass number of oxygen is 16 multiplied by the number of atoms is 4. So 16 multiplied by 4, 64. So 2 plus 32 plus 64, I'm having 98. So this will be gram per mole. And this is for sulfuric acid. What about for calcium sulfate? So for calcium sulfate, I would say the molar mass will be equal to calcium. I know that the mass number of calcium is 40 multiplied by the number of atoms, which is 1. So this will give me 40. Then sulfur, the mass number is 32 multiplied by the number of atoms there is 1. So this will give me 32. Then I have oxygen. The mass number of oxygen is 16 multiplied by the number of atoms, which is 4. This will give me 64. So 40 plus 32 plus 64, I'm having 136 gram per mole. After I've done that, I can calculate the mass of sulfuric acid and the mass of calcium sulfate. So the mass of sulfuric acid, I would say mass is equal to number of moles multiplied by the molar mass. So my mass is equal to the number of moles of sulfuric acid. I know that it's 1. So 1 multiplied by the molar mass, which is 98 gram per mole. So my mass of sulfuric acid is 98 grams. What about the mass of calcium sulfate? So I'm going to use the same formula, which is mass is equals to number of moles multiplied by the molar mass. So mass is equals to number of moles, I know that it's 1. So 1 multiplied by the molar mass, which is 136 gram per mole. Here I have 1 mole. So 1 mole multiplied by 136 gram per mole. My mass here will be equal to 136 grams. And since I know that in the question I've been told that a spirit of 15.5 tons of sulfuric acid reacts with results from an accident. So I've been given the mass of sulfuric acid, but it is in tons. So I'll say 1 ton is equal to 1,000 grams. What about 15.5 to be equal to x? So my x will be equal to, so I'll say 15.5 multiplied by 1000. So I'm having 15,500 grams. So this is the number, this is the mass of sulfuric acid. Then I know that 98, so I'll say 98 grams of sulfuric acid will produce 136 grams of calcium sulfate. So what about 15,500 grams of sulfuric acid? Will be equal to X for calcium sulfate. So I'm going to cross multiply. I have 98x is equal to 15,500 multiplied by 136. I'm having 2108 and 3 zeros. And to calculate the value of x, I'll divide by 98 here and here 98. So my x is equal to, so divide by 98. I'm having 21,510.20 if I round off to 2 decimal places. So this is the mass, but you can also calculate the mass of calcium sulfate in tons. So in tons, the mass will be equal to, so you just divide this number by 1000. So I'll say divide by 1000. So in tons, my answer will be 21.51 tons of calcium sulfate. Question D reads, calcium hydroxide is a base. Which ion present in the compound is responsible for its basic properties? So the ion that is responsible for its basic properties is the hydroxide ion.